welcome to the Extreme Rig Challenge 2018 Awards Ceremony. This is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be giving away awards, 4 different awards for the best LOEMs, as they're called. We generally call them system builders, in 4 different categories, and they're going to be giving away 5 of the rigs behind us before this stream is over. So, my friends, there are not going to be any losers in today's competition. So, the Extreme Rig Challenge has been going on for about 3 years now, and I'm really excited to be here with, actually, a couple people that I know already, and one that I have never met before. So they're going to introduce themselves in a moment, but first, I just want to give you guys a little bit of background. So Extreme Rig Challenge 2018 started about 3 months ago. So that was on March 15th, and the public, that's you guys, has actually been voting for the last 3 months for the People's Choice Award using the hashtag IntelRigChallenge. What? Wait, stop, guys. Don't necessarily run out and use the hashtag to try to vote now. The voting actually closed on June 8th. So there's nothing that you can do to affect the People's Choice Award, but you should still stay tuned because our panel of judges here has some other awards to give out and probably some pretty interesting commentary before we go any further. So the participants this year are CLX, CyberPower PC, Digital Storm, iBuyPower, Main Gear, Origin, Velocity Micro, Zydax, and Exotic PC. Basically a who's who of the boutique system builders for gamers. And you can find the full details at rigchallenge.intel.com. But before we continue, let's take a look back at this year's Extreme Rig Challenge.
Welcome to another Intel Extreme Rig Challenge.
Intel Extreme Rig Challenge is back, and more extreme later.
First, it's all about power.
Let's start off by talking about the power of our Intel Extreme Rig.
This supply will have no issues keeping this beast fed with power.
I personally cannot wait to see how they customize this thing.
I'm going to talk to you about Stage 2. Stage 2.
And this time, it is all about cool.
Well, it's one of the biggest, baddest CPUs in the market right now.
It is also unlocked, which means you can overclock. The enemy in overclocking is heat.
This is Stage 3.
Stage 3. And then Stage 3 is going to be gear.
So we have 2 full-size motherboards.
The extensive hardline cooling,
Pressure regulated
valves.
Yeah.
Overall, the whole system is hyper fast on this Optane 900P.
It's clean, it's sleek, it's beautiful.
Wasn't that beautiful? I especially liked the part with the great footwear from that guy with the orange hoodie. That was fantastic. Yeah. I know, right? All right, so we're down here at Intel's Gaming Lab in Hillsboro, Oregon. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to take any pictures of this place, but it is absolutely amazing. So there's the amazing stuff that we've got here for the Rig Challenge, and then there's all the amazing stuff that, like, can you imagine as a company it being your job to work there and do gaming research? Like, freaking awesome. So let's talk to our co-hosts. We've got Mark Watson, also known as Soldier Knows Best.
What's up?
We've got Adam Taylor, also known as Epos Vox.
Hey.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Yes!
Yeah.
And our sponsor for today's live stream, the General Manager and Vice President of Intel in North America. I had no idea that was your title before we started.
They lie, Linus.
No pressure. Greg Ernst.
Pleasure, thank you. So, yes, I'm up. So thank you. First, thanks to our amazing host. We really appreciate the partnership and for you guys coming and join us today. Adds definitely some excitement to have some true experts here. And thank you to all the gamers who voted for the past month. We really appreciate the collaboration. We appreciate everyone, the traffic that it drove, and all the great votes.
Almost a million tweets, I think.
That's
something
crazy.
like that.
Almost a million votes. So figure this is the 3rd year we've done it, and this is by far the best participation. So thank you, and then a huge thank you to all of the gaming system builders. They're our customers, so we love all of them. They volunteered their time, their engineering time, their video production time. They bought the parts, taught us all a ton. So huge thanks to all of them. We'll announce some winners later, but I think we all agree they really made the event and really took it up a notch this year.
Yeah, there's one thing that absolutely every one of the rigs behind us has in common, and that's that they all took an incredible amount of time and effort to build. So no matter who comes out of here with one of these gorgeous trophies, everyone's a winner.
Hey.
I did it. I said everyone's a winner before it was over. I was planning to do that. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to it so early. All right. So before we go any further, I want to segue over to Epos Fox, who's going to cover over what the agenda is for the rest of the event here.
The judges panel will be, wow, now you got me messing up. We'll be ranking and presenting awards in the following categories. We have Best Engineering, we have Most Creative, we have Best Performance, and then the all-important People's Choice. And we've convened, we've reviewed the systems, tallied our votes, and at the end of the ceremony, we will be giving away 5 of these systems to lucky voters yourselves. So stay tuned for that.
One thing we have not done yet, and this is going to be a lot of fun to do on camera, is discuss with each other what we wrote down in our personal notes on all of the systems back there. So I'm personally, I hate spoilers. I'm anti-spoilers, so I haven't shared any of my thoughts with anyone here from Intel or any of the other judges, and I'm actually really excited to debate with you guys if we all don't end up agreeing about who exactly did the best job in each category. So Soldier's going to go over the key ingredients in this year's builds because they do all have a few things in common.
Yeah, so the basic premise of this challenge is Intel sent out the builders 3 core components, and then they were going to use those as the base and then create their own crazy PC out of their imagination. So this year the competition focused on these 3 main products. And the first one was for the foundation or stage 1. And this one was provided by ASUS, and they provided the ROGE-Strix X299-XE gaming motherboard. So this one is an Intel Core X series platform compatible full-size ATX board based on the Intel X299 chipset. And it has up to 6 PCIe slots and multiple M.2 slots, and making it an incredibly dynamic choice for this year's builds. Now, the second stage of the competition was going to be focusing on the processor.
No one saw that coming.
The Intel Core i9-7980XE Extreme Edition processor. Now, this is Intel's most powerful consumer CPU. So if you're looking to build a fantastic, most extreme machine, you can get this CPU yourself. It has 44 PCIe lanes for ultimate scalability with up to 18 cores and 36 threads. Now, this unlocked processor, when combined with a cooling system, can be ramped up to extreme speeds. Now, for the third section, in the final stage of the competition, they focus on the Intel Optane SSD 900P series. Now, this is an NVMe SSD with Subject's 3D X-Point technology, and it's the first of its kind, one of the fastest on the market. And the Optane SSD 900P series features incredibly low latency, and then also, which means that load times are reduced and memory recall is vastly improved. So these 3 categories are what they really focus on and what we kind of judge them on. Back to line.
That was a lot of technical jargon, but basically every one of those systems is really, really fast, in a nutshell. So, our first award is the Best Engineering Award. And this is one that, again, I'm going a little bit off script here, but this is one, oh, right. I knew that was going to happen. No, you know what? Fine. Cut me off. Go for it. Run your thing. Never mind now.
There we go. It's better the second time.
Oh, you're going to be kidding me. That's the whole clip? All right. So I'm going off script here because a lot of what happens when you're building a system is engineering. But most of the engineering is done by companies like Intel or ASUS, the ones that design the actual hardware. And so to get me to score your system on engineering means you had to do something that would actually qualify as engineering. So to me, taking something like a high-performance CPU block from a third-party manufacturer and putting that on the 7980XE Extreme Edition, that is not engineering. Whereas if you actually design some aspect of the chassis or the cooling system or even the lighting system, if you took something and made it custom, that, to me, is engineering. So all three of our experts here have reviewed and ranked the systems based on the technical execution. And there were a bunch of sort of categories and things that were on the sheet that we had before, but we don't have that anymore, so we're not going to worry about that. But the results were tallied and averaged to narrow down the top three, which I have in this envelope right here. That envelope. There you go. I knew we were going to have another kind of envelope. So this category recognizes outstanding achievements in engineering of these extreme systems, in theory. At least the ones that I picked were the winners. So, in no particular order, and this is important because the other judges still don't even know who are the winners. Here are the top three.
Look right here.
All right. Digital Storm, CLX, and Main Gear. But that is not in order. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Look.
this is the part where we engage in 5 minutes of round table discussion. That was, shoot, I forget. CLX, Main Gear, and Digital Storm. So I want to hear your thoughts on the CLX system.
Look.
Hit me, Adam.
It was probably the most striking of the systems simply because it was the only desk, and that's pretty significant. I did appreciate that they integrated two systems into it. I'm personally, pretty much every setup I build is a dual PC setup for my fiance and I, and so having that integrated is always really cool to see. I found the balance of the lighting to be a little weird. Like it felt a little lonely in the middle in terms of lighting, and that's more aesthetic, but it's a little dark there, and I like having a full array of lights. But getting the full tubes going, getting everything pretty much matching despite being two different systems was kind of neat.
Mark, any thoughts?
Yeah, pretty similar. And I think for this competition, you try to be as different as possible. And I think maybe this tabletop design is the only one that we have in this competition so far. So I think they did a really good job at that. It was just very neat and uniform. You know, you want something that you're going to be displaying it as your desk. It's something that every time somebody walks in your office, they're going to see it, and you want it to look good. And then, then putting two systems aside, it really made a good use of the space. To be able to make that great for multitasking, if you want to do two different things, worked out well. So I just think that just it stood out a lot just because of the neatness of it and the different type of design for it.
Here comes the devil's advocate. What did they engineer?
Well, I think they modified the frame in itself. I mean, as far as what you can see as far as in there, nothing stands out too much, but they did have to do some modifications for it, but.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for it.
Very interesting. Okay, so my comments on the CLX desk. Dual systems, always nice to see. With that said, with an 18-core processor, it's arguable whether you actually need dual systems anymore, even for gaming and streaming at the same time. Full cover monoblocks should yield great temperatures, which should help with the performance category. We actually don't know who won the performance award yet, but we'll find out later along with you guys. I will give them credit for using an Intel CPU for the second system, but they actually did not use an Intel storage device for the second system. And that's not something that was a category, but it was something that if you were looking very closely, you might have seen. And so I had kind of taken some points off for myself for that. And I also had notes that they missed the opportunity to light the reservoirs. In fact, the placement of the lighting within that case looks very good in the B-roll videos, but as you guys noted, it's pretty dim, and it's pretty much the stock placement for that particular desk chassis. All right, let's jump into the next one. I forget. Okay, so next up we've got Digital Storm. So I think they're going to cue some B-roll here. Let's have Soldier go first. Hit me.
You know, I really like this one because of the way they lay out the tubes. Everything's kind of straight line. They have really sharp angles, and so it was one of the prettiest machines that I think we've seen out of this bunch. And I like the fan placement around the case, all around the case. I mean, you can look around and it's something good. Instead of just looking at it from one angle, you can just look all around and see something with it. And the custom fluid distribution blocks were really neatly put together, and everything was placed nicely. So I think it was a really good machine that was, again, to my liking, simple, sharp, and just really clean lines.
I definitely appreciated the integration of the cooling, or of the water loop. I loved that the entire case was visible, or the entire case was decorative. The entire case was something that you could look at, but then the lighting towards their own Digital Storm branding on the I guess the right side of the case that you normally wouldn't look at, it was not fully there. Like the main part of the logo was lit, but then the actual text was like kind of flickery with, I guess, the fluid lighting, and so it just bothers me when part of the case just isn't like as attractive as the rest when it's clearly meant to be. You have a case that's all glass like that, it's meant to be appreciated from all sides, but then I get to that side and I'm like, oh, but what about that?
So for my part, I actually really liked the look of this system. I think they did a great job of the aesthetics. It's a modified Aventum X. Basically, they threw some additional sort of painted modules on it. It's a bit of a 10-foot paint job, in my opinion, especially when there were some here, in particular the next one we're about to discuss, that had really automotive-grade finishes on them. And you could tell it was kind of a mod as opposed to something they delivered to a customer. I mean, I've seen a lot of Digital Storm systems over the years, and the ones that they ship out the door, the paint jobs, are just freaking immaculate. So I could tell that it was a mod as opposed to a finished system. I thought the lighting scheme didn't really have much of an identity. The sort of the motherboard area had this kind of monochrome light show, but then the fans were all colored, so I wasn't really sure what they were doing there. But, I mean, that's the worst thing I can say about it, which is pretty darn positive, especially since I've given myself the role of devil's advocate here for the rest of the stream.
Yeah.
All right, and then our last one, and I'm going to show my hand a little bit here. This was my favorite, Main Gears system. So I'm going to start with what I thought was great about this one. This was one of the few systems that I looked at and I went, they engineered something. They built something I've never seen before. These are addressable RGB water tubes. They actually do carry water while they are illuminated, and it wasn't clear, even from having 10 minutes of uninterrupted time with the system, it wasn't clear to me exactly how they did it, how they got the RGB strips in there and kept them isolated from the water and also prevented them from leaking. I also loved the integration of the switch dock, so they've got a hidden capture card inside the system that allows you to dock your switch into the side of the front bezel, and then they've got a pass-through for power around to the back of the case, so you can power the switch with a Type-C at the back. It's really discreet, and then you can actually use that capture card with its low-latency capture to game your switch on your gaming monitor just by docking it with your computer. So to me, that was the one that really stood out as the most engineered of the systems behind us.
And see, this is where I get to play a little bit of devil's advocate.
Ooh, there we go.
It looks great. The concept is amazing. Integrating the switch capture, that when I saw that in the video, my mind was blown. But then when I got to see it in person, little minor details that could have been doable well within their ability, better than I could have ever done, is while the capture card is low latency, it's for those playing like a Mario title or something, it's not going to be low latency enough for a lot of people to actually play off the preview. That's not something that, that's just not how it works. And so just a simple HDMI pass-through from the capture card to the back of the case, so you could run it to a monitor or even an HDMI switch, something like that would have been super easy, hot glue it where nobody could see it. Pretty simple, and even the USB power might have been routable to an internal header, so you didn't have to plug it in yourself. There's two little details that I'm just like, would have been perfect, but I personally would never play from a preview, so.
Yeah, and I just really like the case. I mean, Linus said a lot of really good things about it. But I think that it was one of the smaller, builds out of here, but everything was kind of neatly placed in a very good way. And while most of the systems are really trying to show off the fans and all that stuff, it's kind of hard to see the fans. You really can barely see the fans, and really just wanted to focus on all the different water blocks with it. So I just think it was a beautiful case inside and out, especially with the paint job. And I'm a big Nintendo Switch fan, so I was a little biased for it. So it's good.
All right, Greg, did you want to add any thoughts?
Would you guys have any honorable mentions that weren't listed in the top 3?
This one.
I wish I had my sheet because my honorable mentions actually ended up winning an award.
Oh,
So
All these.
I was specifically going to bring it up,
okay.
but they're in the top 3, so.
Okay. Engineering-wise, I appreciated the one from Zydax, the double stack. One of my favorites. It's a little cumbersome for real-world use case, but the idea, the execution turned out really, really great. I even got
Live
nitpicking
now?
and started running my
Yeah.
finger along the seam of
It's
the
a
two
competition.
cases together.
You want to
They're
see
matched up really well,
computadores
and
número
the
uno.
triple
El
radiator
más
was,
bueno computador.
it worked out,
And
and
you
that
say,
was one
oh,
of my
here,
favorites, even if
you
it's
choose
a
winner.
simple
Your
modification
trophy
of
here,
a couple
número
cases.
uno.
I'm glad you reminded
Then
me
all
of that
single
because
total
actually that one was my
computadors.
second choice
Gracias,
for
gracias.
best engineered.
You
Great
see?
cooling. That thing is cooled
Yeah.
like freaking crazy.
27 fans.
Yeah, something stupid like that. I think it's two identical chassis bolted together, but in like a good way. One of them
Yeah.
is basically just cooling, and then it's got a mini ITX system modded into what would normally be like the power supply area. Really, really cool system. So, without further ado, though, it is time to present the awards. Third place goes to Main Gear. Sorry, guys, I was rooting for you. Second place goes to Digital Storm, and first place goes to CLX.
Look, right here, numero uno. Look, Center. This is what I said. I like it. Right here, the one I carry. Oh, man, look. That's numero uno, the winner. And why you know? This is live. I can't do it.
So, you guys are undergoing
Look,
a bit of a rebrand right now, is my understanding. And you used to be known as, I'm sorry, guys. So this is George Percival, and he's the Director of Marketing at CLX.
What's up, guys?
So you guys are undergoing a bit of a rebrand, because I hadn't heard of CLX until now.
Yeah, so originally the company is called Cybertron PC. We've been around for over 20 years. We created CLX about 3 years ago, and the desk is going to actually be available in July. We're actually launching it as a product, so customers will be able to buy the full desk and everything.
Interesting. So I can tell you, the reason that I had you guys down for an honorable mention for engineering was because I was impressed that you managed to
Now I'm
get
gonna give
that
them away.
figure in one
All
piece. That
simple.
to me
I'm
is
gonna
an
give away the
engineering
Ultra
feat.
Zone.
Yeah, the shipping is pretty intense for it. So it's a really big crate and a dolly that carries everything, so
All
so you
right.
can move it around.
Well, I take back all the bad things I said about how engineered it was, because that sounds like an achievement. Here's your award. Thank you very much for participating,
Thank you.
and thank you for being here to accept it in person. That's freaking
Thank
awesome.
you. Awesome.
Thank you, George.
Well, thank you guys.
I love
Thank,
the standing bed PC.
Thank you guys and everybody who voted. Thank you guys.
All right, thanks, man. Here, I think there's a. You know what? Thank you.
Talk much.
All right, so I'm gonna set up our next award for most creative.
Most creative. Look, now I'm gonna see the winner for most
All
creative.
right, should we just
Más
let's just put
creativo.
that there so we can.
El tuyo puesto el
Is
más,
that cool?
No, watch, look, watch the computer.
All
I
right.
bet you anything is the one that opens up.
el más creativo computer o más
Creative.
creativo.
All right, so I'm
I
handing
bet
off
this
to
one
you,
right here.
Mark,
Oh,
for
I
the
bet watch.
most
It don't read it.
creative award.
Crystal
All
was
right,
like
so
this.
the most creative is going to be really focused on the assembly look and feel and the function, lighting, and all the additional features that really made it unique besides the basic core components. And so yeah, so this one we narrowed down to the top 3. We're going to get right into the envelope here. Let's see who made the cut.
All right, I'm not supposed to look up.
All right, in no
All right,
particular
all right,
order.
Yep.
We have Zydax, Main Gear, and CLX. So,
Wow, CLX might end up winning too.
all right,
The cases we already were talking about.
all right, all right. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and start the talk, and we're going to see what you guys thought about CLX. Fine.
Oh, okay, so in terms of the most creative, once again, I didn't think it was necessarily the most creative. Dual systems, always a good thing to see. I think I said that last time. You know what the good news is? I actually accidentally looked at CLX's system twice. So I have 2 separate segments here of CLX desk notes. And if nothing else, that says that it was eye-grabbing. So I knew that there were 9 systems, and I had 9 sets of notes as I was going through and looking at them all, and I completely missed one of them, and I ended up in front of the CLX desk twice. So
It's Nuevi.
one of the things I liked about this one, from like a functionality perspective, is that on paper anyway, it has the highest performance of everything here. It's got 2 systems, one with a 7980XE and one with an 8700K, both of which are running SLI graphics cards. So that was completely unique in the competition. There were a couple other dual systems, but neither of them were running dual graphics cards. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. So that was cool.
That actually matches my current production and game streaming setup. Is a 7980XE and an 8700K. So add in like, I guess, a DisplayPort switcher or HDMI switcher, and it could be an all-in-one solution, get desk-mounted monitor arm. So creativity-wise, I agree that it's a concept we've seen quite a few times, but the execution was pretty good. I was happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just simple, clean, good look. The SPC is something that, I mean, it's very functional, and I think they did just a really good job executing that totally.
I'd adjust.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd adjust. All right.
All right, so we're going to move on, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the main gear system.
All right. Well, I can't say enough good things about the main gear system. I think that having the console functionality built in, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to disagree with Adam. I'm going to make the argument that if you were playing a platformer game, like a real platformer game, like a Super Meat Boy, or if you were playing like Super Mario Brothers, like Super Mario World, something like that, I'm going to say yes. The few milliseconds of additional latency, complete deal breaker. You might as well just not have the switch dock in the computer at all.
Right.
But most modern games, from my experience, are designed around the upwards of 25 to even as much as 80 milliseconds of input lag that you'll see in a modern TV. And I don't think that, especially if you have a rig like that, there's no way you don't have it hooked up to like an ROG monitor or something that has 1 millisecond of its own leg to add. There's no way that the additional latency of the capture card is going to be any worse than gaming on a regular TV. I need a mic to draw. Hold on. Get over here.
I hope you didn't just break it.
Okay, go ahead.
Clear point. And I mean, certainly if we're talking about creative, the integration of it is creative, and for someone who is a dedicated Switch fan or doesn't have, or already has their other consoles integrated, really neat. And the fact that they took the extra time to make sure that it doesn't scratch up the Switch screen, it doesn't tear off the paint job, because they actually put the custom paint job matching to the case on the Switch itself. And so I really appreciate that. And
they also killed that paint job.
Yes.
If you look at it from 6 inches away, that is by far the best paint job here.
Absolutely.
Long shot. I mean, even the way the decals, I think you guys say decals down here, I'm sorry. Even the way the decals are clear-coated, there's no ridge on them. It's a gorgeous paint job.
This went out of the box. It went out of the norm, and including a console that's just adds to it, makes it more dynamic.
And even we've talked before about the uniformity of the RGB. That one has more of a mixed RGB spectrum, but that actually plays into the Nintendo color characterization, the main gear logo that they have on one side and on the Switch. Like it plays into it really well. And so I think that's one case where the cliche obnoxious like RGB everywhere, it actually works really, really well.
And so the third one is going to be Zydax, and I think this one really kind of stands amongst all the rest just because of its height. It's a very heavy system, but you have a lot of stuff going on there with all the fans and all the tubing. So just what do you think about that one?
The crazy bends in that one really stood out to me. That's something that we did see a little bit of. I think there were a couple different systems that didn't go for the traditional approach with hardline tubing, where the idea, and I'd say when executed perfectly, it still looks better to my eye. So the Aventon X did a great job of this, where it's got that water distribution system where all the lines coming out of it are running perfectly parallel. It looks fantastic. But there's room for creativity there too, and what these guys did a great job of is doing some really unique and creative bends to get the coolant from the top up and down into the bottom of the system where all the radiators are. And that's something that is kind of coming into vogue right now, and when it's done well, it can look extremely sharp. I hope we have a B-roll shot showing how it works around the RAN and the CPU socket. Yeah, there we go. So that one coming out of the left on the CPU block there, yeah, it kind of comes up and around. You can see that crazy curve. That was something that really stood out about this system to me, because that is really hard. That has to be done by hand. and it's really tricky to get it to terminate exactly right into the fittings. Because once the tubing cools down, you don't have a lot of play left.
It made me realize I wanted something that no one will ever want to make, but now I want a neon sign desk made out of hardline water tubing, because that's almost what that looks like with the color scheme they have going and the crazy bins they have going in front of the radiator. It almost looks like they could integrate a logo and make it look like a neon sign, and that would be amazing. And I like the fact that the cooling hides the second system. Like you don't even know that it's there other than working it up and using it.
I forgot to mention, this one has water blocks on the ram too. Like this one stood out. In a competition that was all about crazy cooling solutions, this one really stood out. So both banks of RAM were water cooled, the entire CPU socket area was water cooled using a monoblock, and of course it had an entire case worth of radiators underneath the main one.
Everything covered. All right, so let's go ahead and see the placement of who actually won this. So in third place, we have CLX. Second place, Zydax. And that leaves first place with Main Gear.
All right, Main Gear, at least you guys didn't walk away with nothing, so we're clapping, but unfortunately, they couldn't be here in person to accept their awards, so we'll watch this clip. No, go ahead, play your clip. No. I'm having so much fun with this. This is such, like, compared to what we normally stream on Twitch, this is like so produced. It's fun. There's like people in a switching room back there somewhere. So I've been informed, and this is great, that I actually get to accept the awards on behalf of the system integrators who couldn't be here. So hi Wallace.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I want to thank the Academy and Intel and I'm just gonna put this in my backpack.
It's kind of cool computer.
Okay.
The old video game. Okay.
They're like, is he joking?
They're like waddles.
Is he actually gonna take it? No one knows. All right, so I'm gonna hand it over to Epos Vox to run through the criteria for the Best Performance Award and let us debate some more systems here.
Very cool. Now, best performance isn't determined just by the raw specs in the system. It is actually determined by setting up the Intel Extreme Tuning Utility to provide a stress test and benchmark of CPU performance, memory application, graphics power, and just the overall beefiness of how the system runs with the applied overclock and things like that. All of our benchmarks were obtained in the last 24 hours to make sure that they're accurate and no one was trying to be sneaky on us or anything like that. And yeah, so we're going to check out the top 3 results here, again, in no particular order. Not looking. No, you're trying to sneak.
I'm not looking.
We have CyberPower, Zydax, and Velocity Micro. So let's start by talking about CyberPower.
CyberPower. Oh boy, where are my notes on CyberPower?
The one in the open air, the in-win air case.
Ah, yes. Okay. Wow, I did not see that one coming. So this one only had a single GPU, and it used a single 3x1 20mm radiator, if I recall correctly. I didn't see another one there.
I like this one.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this one's in
You see the top when it closes down, yeah, it's like a helmet.
Case. And I mean, there's not really much to say about performance unless I could kind of dig into the BIOS settings and find out what exactly it is that they did. If I had to guess though, like something that you'll run into anytime you're trying to tune a system for a competition is the balancing act between trying to squeeze as much performance as you can out of it and trying to make sure that you maintain stability so that it actually runs the benchmarks at all. This is something that I've run into on our Scrapyard Wars show a number of times, where I had something dialed in fast enough that maybe it could have made the difference between winning and losing, but it ended up being unstable and not running at the overclock that I wanted at all, and I had to run it at stock speed, which ultimately caused me to definitely lose. So if I had to guess, I would say that they've just done a great job of dialing in their overclock here.
Sometimes less is more. I think you can see that in the build. This is a fantastic case, but I think they just went with trying to maximize the performance of the core components. I like the tubing. It's really good.
You get it?
The chrome-plated bronze
Yeah.
tubing, so it helped out with keeping it as cool as possible as far as liquid. And I just think that they just really just
27 de
made sure they
julio,
keep everything simple but maximize the effort.
largue de copa el
And it's another one where I felt like the right side was lonely aesthetically, but if they had focused on performance, then that's what's going to matter to a lot of people. The case is certainly an interesting one, and they could have gone thematically in similar direction as main gear. But
Mi crédito,
I,
Couple.
we're reaching a point where,
An intellectual property issue at that point.
It's
It
like
turned into a giant Pokeball.
yeah, but
No,
might have been worth it.
Those days.
But I think we're also reaching a point
Sí,
where
hombre.
graphics power doesn't entirely scale across multiple
No, hombre.
GPUs anymore, and we're seeing that
Sí,
more and more
muy
with what you can actually do officially supported. So I'm not entirely surprised, to be honest,
Muy
because
expensive. They're muy bonitos.
that's not how it works.
Maybe
I actually
we,
have that in
no,
my
maybe
general
sabes
notes
que
where I'm not
necesito
sure if from an
80.
engineering standpoint if
Or
points should be
teaching.
given or taken away
O
for
sea,
including
ya que vende ese
SLI
grande,
in
completo,
2018.
grande, chiquito.
Alright, who's next?
Well,
Baby,
I guess I am here to read off in what, starting with third place, we have Zydax with a benchmark, extreme tuning utility benchmark score of 2469. CyberPower is in second place with 2505, and significantly higher than either of those. Velocity Micro actually came in first, who we didn't actually talk about,
Oh, well, we can talk about it after.
2653. We didn't talk about Velocity Micros, and I actually found theirs to be most interesting because it was so low key. Like, it wasn't the flashiest, it wasn't the most colorful, but it kind of, it gave an air of just doing it right. Like, they just went for polish. They went for sleekness, as you can see in our B-roll shot here. All the
This is the más
all the
fuerte. Más
pins are
rápido
pretty
computer.
solid. They've got a nice consistent
Totals.
color scheme, and they even put the little Intel Extreme Rig Challenge bug up atop the front of the case. And
Wow, I like that.
Lots
Oh
of
my God.
cooling in this system. Lots and lots of cooling in this one, which I guess, you know,
Ooh, 128
some whole
gigabytes
monoblock
of
thing.
RAM.
I know I've been going on about how monoblocks are a good idea, but they don't
Gigabytes
necessarily
RAM.
give you the best
¿Qué?
CPU temperature. So as long as you've
Pues
got
aquí
adequate
nomás
airflow
con
around the
4
RN
es
area of the
rápido.
motherboard, it's
Sí.
possible that you are better
Ocho,
off going
rápido.
with a CPU-only block. And
super.
currently Velocity
No
subscribes to that particular theory.
Pero el
One of the
internet,
things I thought they did really well is knowing their
rápido,
audience.
o sea que-
They've got a really solid blue and white Intel color scheme going
Necesito
on.
bueno internet.
And, you know, I'm not saying that that actually adds performance. I'm just saying that it's definitely a crowd pleaser when you understand who you are building a system for.
300
I mean, and it's
gigabytes per second
proof
ahora.
that not all
No,
RGB
50
implementations
ahora.
have to be unicorned on it. Like,
We can get
obviously, those are
50
RGB
gigabytes
components, but that
per
doesn't
second
mean that they have to be a
It's like
multicolored
$100
light
for
show.
Macy's.
RGB, not RGB at the same time.
That's right. I have to give them a hard time about the missing sticker on the rear fan, though, on the hub.
Oh.
That was a missed opportunity, should have put something there. But other than that, I really had no complaints about it. And they won the performance category, so what I say doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I guess if you watch the videos, I mean, they really were talking about how they're not flashy, they're not trying to impress anybody with the looks of it. They just really want a really good, solid performance computer for that's the kind
No
of
real,
custom they
mira.
showed off here.
Es
And it
no
worked. Their
original,
score was
pero es
like
nice.
100 something above
Se ve
both
bonito,
of the
¿no?
other options.
Sí,
So
con Nike.
Alright, so congratulations to Velocity Micro for taking home this
They're gonna give
wonderful
away
award.
now.
Trae 50 pesos.
But watch, they're not good black kids. The winners. Hey.
I'm gonna cry and put this in my bag. Is he really gonna take them? We don't know. Alright, so let's set up our next award here. This is okay, well, these clips.
Look.
Ya, estoy viendo. Sí.
Alright. So our next award is the choice of the people. Yeah, that's right. I'm not going to say it your way. I'm going to say choice of the people, not people's choice. You can't make me do that. All right, now this award is the result of the leaderboard over at rigchallenge.intel.com. There were almost 1 million votes this year, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And the way that it worked is users voted by sharing the Twitter handle of their favorite builder along with the hashtag IntelRigChallenge. So you could vote once per day. By the way, voting was what entered you in the competition to win one of the rigs. So, you know, there was definitely the right incentive. So
Ven,
voting
está viendo
ended June 8th at midnight, and then I think I have to
It's on
hand
YouTube,
it over to someone to like go through a thing with how it works. Yeah, all right, Greg, hit us.
Alright, thank you, Linus. So this award's a little bit different, a little less suspense. Everyone got to watch the leaderboard change and evolve on a daily basis. Linus said we had 1 million votes, so tons of interest. So because I suspect many people already know the results, before I open, just any highlights from you guys as the competition unveiled. So.
No drum roll. We're not gonna like pretend there's.
No, we're going to. All right. You're the boss. You're in charge. In no particular order, for the first time unveiled, the 3 finalists were CLX once again, Main Gear and Origin PC. Again, no particular order, and no one knows the results. So I will ask you guys again: any surprises throughout the competition as you guys followed the vote?
I found it interesting that we didn't talk much, none of the previous categories we talked much about Origins. They, in terms of engineering, I don't think they necessarily did a whole lot more than one of their more standard releases, but I really appreciated the custom graphic on board. I always appreciate when there's a custom element when you're doing a challenge. They had the full printed side view for the Intel Rig logo and the Intel Rig Challenge blue at the bottom, and it integrated with their color scheme. I can see why people might have voted for this one based on that.
Okay.
I love the cohesiveness of this build overall. This is actually a great angle of it where you can, it looks more striking in person. But between there wasn't like a huge amount of customization beyond aesthetics, but the little things that they did were nice. So they had like some kind of applique or graphic on the one side panel. They had some etching with like a kind of, I don't know, some kind of a paint fill or like a vinyl fill or something like that looked really clean, really sharp, really purpose built. And then the lighting job. They did a great job of the lighting, showing once again that lighting doesn't have to be gaudy and tacky. It can be tasteful. And so what they've done is they actually, and I will assume this was intentional because it looks very intentional, was they actually allowed the motherboard and the components at the back of the motherboard chamber to be quite dark and kind of fade into the background. And then they highlighted the distribution block for the 2 graphics cards, the bent tubes that are in the foreground, as well as the graphics on the windowed side panel. And that was the thing that really stood out to me about it. Now, with that said, I think that we did end up with a bit of a popularity contest here, more so than like an actual evaluation of the merits of the build. I'm not saying it's not really good. I'm just saying that you know what? No spoilers. But
yeah, I think that's part of it. That's a good point I brought up. Yeah, that's a good part of it. How you leverage your social media and they got the word out about the competition. So they made a good solid system. I think they know their audience best and they definitely got the word out about it. So that helps.
Definitely activated their customer network.
Yeah.
Oh, they did that.
That's kudos to them.
Yeah.
Any other? I named the 3 finalists. Anyone else? If you guys just were picking your own, if you were a person of one, people choice of one, anyone else that you guys would put up in the top 3?
What were the other 2?
Well, there was CLX, there was Main Gear. Let's see, who else have we talked about? We've talked about Zydax quite a bit, Velocity Micro, CyberPower. Yeah. Any other digital systems?
I would have liked to see Zydax on the podium for this one, personally. I really liked what they did. It was pretty different. Yeah.
I really appreciated Exotic's just overall aesthetic. They went with the same color scheme. It's a little hard to get the orange that they were going for tied in with the RGBs. Like orange is just kind of a hard shade to hit with LEDs sometimes. But the 2 different reservoirs, like it almost had like a cross between like a spaceship and car engine look to it, just like the 2 motors going. I don't know, something about it just really appealed to me and would be the one that I voted for personally, I think, aesthetically for something like I'd want to show off because something about just the way they handled that was really nice.
They did a great job with the paint, and they didn't limit it to just the case. They were one of the few that actually I don't think anyone else painted their radiators. Yeah, they did a really fine job of it. I was getting up really close. The one thing that sort of teed me off about that one was it's running dual channel memory. It's only got 2 memory sticks in it. In fact, I don't even know if it's running dual channel. I think it's on either side of the socket, so I think it's actually single channel memory. But, oh wait, you know what, I'm not sure, but it's not quad channel, and that's what the 7980XE supports, so I would have preferred to have 4 sticks in it.
Well, great. I love the only other one I love, I'm always partial to the glass ball Pac-Man form factor from Cyber Power, so I love that one as well.
Wow, I'm about to say something that's probably going to get me fired from ever doing anything with Intel again, but you can really see the generational gap there. We went Pokeball, you went Pac-Man.
That's okay.
That's fantastic.
We got to be true to ourselves. So that's
I love
good.
that.
Yeah, Linus, let me just write that down. 15 minutes left to go. Linus went massively off script.
Escorted out the campus.
Now
Take
everyone
back
knows
your
this is
awards.
not scripted.
All right.
So
Do you want to give us our 3 winners here? Yeah.
So again, third place for the first time. Third place, Main Gear. Congratulations. Second place, the friends of CLX. We talked about them quite a bit. And in first place, Origin PC. So congrats to Kevin and the team down in Miami. Great showing, and your customers spoke loudly. So, and on behalf of Origin, we have Linus, a much younger version of myself.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Mayonesa nomás y-
Gonna put that in the mail bag.
It's the winner.
And now, the moment that you have all been
Sandra.
waiting for out there.
They give
I
this.
think the envelopes are coming very soon, but we get to reveal the 5 people who are taking away, and I think I'm supposed to have a list of which systems it is, but okay, basically the way it works is...
I'll take any of them.
Mark is going to confirm. So here we go. The 4 trophy-winning rigs. Ah, yes, good. Oh, that's a video? Oh, yeah, cool. Okay. So these are the ones that...
Sandra, you're giving them away.
Cool.
I gotta sit down for this.
That was a wonderful video that stalled for time there. So I've actually got 5 envelopes, and I get to give one of them to each of you to reveal. But first, I want to kind of run through exactly how this works. And I'm actually going to tell a story. So
Sandra!
I remember back when I was working
The
at
winners!
a computer store, and we did for a different brand, not for Intel. So you have to be very careful. I'm not naming any names or anything. But we participated in kind of like a show rig build thing.
Okay,
that
it's the Webby
I actually
computadores,
was
okay?
responsible for. So I did this water
winners,
system and
for the computadores,
Day 07 or something
okay?
at that point. I'm
For the
dating
Mas
myself a little bit
Bonito,
here.
the Mas Fuerte, okay,
And
the
I
Mas
remember
Engineer.
having sort of like an
the
awkward
winners,
conversation with my boss
that's
at
the
one
ones
point
they
that
give
went,
out to us.
why are we building 2 of these systems? And they went, well, one of them
So
is
this
to
one,
go out to
this
trade
one,
shows and travel around so
both.
that, you know, the people can see, you know, these components being integrated in a super cool system and all that stuff. And the other one, well, I think our rep needs a new system. So you know, we're doing a favor here. And I was like, really, I have to build 2 of these things for that? So there's no shenanigans here. Every one of these systems behind us has a real, true purpose. And the 4 trophy-winning rigs are going to be integrated into Intel's event schedule. So the public is actually going to be able to see them at industry and gaming events through the remainder of this year, including at the Intel Extreme Masters in the US in November. So you can stay tuned at rigchallenge.intel.com if you want to go check out any of the 4 winning systems that took home awards today.
Oh, the winners,
Then the other 5
the
are
no
all
winners
being given away
are gratis.
right now. So the names of all the eligible entrants, I'm just going to pick up my cheat sheet here because I'm shameless like that, were provided to the National Sweepstakes Company, and prior to this awards ceremony, the 5 winning handles were selected via random draw. You gotta be legalese, man. You gotta be really careful with that word selected when you talk about like a giveaway or sweepstakes or something like that. So selected via random draw, not selected. So this was done by
Random.
a third party, and the winners' names were placed in these envelopes.
Come on,
Now,
man.
I'm passing it over to Mark here.
Like I said, I'll
Alright,
take
so
any
that's some
of them
good old
computers.
fine print, so
You don't
make
have to
sure
run
you
the-
focus
the
on this
math
if you
winning.
did actually tweet to enter this.
Alright,
So each winner
They're all
that
winning.
will be able to have 48 hours to claim their prize. Now, the
48
claim
hours.
the prize, you'll be,
I'll walk
because it's
this
needs to be
time.
handled by a third party, and Intel affiliate
No, take
will
me
reach
to
out
the
to you
second
via
one.
Twitter. So make sure you have your notifications on, you pay attention to your Twitter mentions. They'll be contacting you there. And so if you hear your Twitter handle on the stream, and it's very important, make sure you just keep your eye on that. And if the affiliate does not hear back from you within 48 hours, you're out of luck. So they're going to move on to the next person down the line, and you've lost your chance. So yeah, that's going to suck. All right, and so they will try for every 24 hours to be ready to respond if you get notified. And yeah, so let's dive right on in and see who actually won.
Mark, we really gave you a glamorous role. Thank you for doing that.
Mucho tiempo.
There's another sort of like pro tip here, guys. Pay attention for more than 48 hours, because if my experience is anything to go by, the odds of someone not getting that notification is pretty good. So the odds of it going to someone else seems pretty good. So if
Do I
you're one
have
of the
the
smart people who's
mensaje
watching
back?
this stream right now,
So if me
you
no
can
win or
probably
water,
improve your chances a little bit by making sure you're paying attention.
Necesito cheque.
So, you know,
Every day.
Don't give up.
That's right. That's right. All right, and don't give up now while we announce these. So, okay, I guess I'm gonna do the first one. Gonna open up this. Look at this adorable little green sticker on here.
It's on in.
Shiny gold foil inside. It's all official and stuff. Hopefully this isn't anything inappropriate. You never know with these Twitter handles. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. At Martel Gomez 2. So if you were Martel Gomez 1, I'm sorry to have set you up and torn you down like
Una, yeah.
Martel
They're
Gomez
doing cinco.
2 is going to be taking away,
Mañana.
and I don't think it actually specifies
Well, you got
which
cuatro
one,
más.
so I guess I get
They're
to
doing
pick.
cinco
Can I get a
computadores.
single from off camera? I just picked which system? Woohoo! Alright, so you are taking home the Zydax dual system with the two towers that are like towered on top of each other. Pretty freaking cool system. I think they're going to run a short sizzle reel of that right now. Is that right? No? Okay, no
Those
sizzle reel. So,
computadores, Rick.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's go
our
another
next
winner then.
winner is Hansito 1.
Not me.
Hansito 1. So if you were Hansito 0, still not a winner.
See a trend here. See a trend.
And you shall be getting the Digital Storm rig.
Digital
We will
Storm.
introduce Robert, the marketing director of
Damn.
Digital Storm.
I am actually amazed that someone gets to take home this one, given how amazing that system is. I was sure that one was going to take home a trophy, but hey, if nothing else, you guys get to have the enjoyment of knowing there's a gamer out there running this thing.
We're actually really happy that it's going to someone, and like I'm kind of sad to see it go because we've been working on it, wrenching on it, painting it for like 3 months now. So, yeah, it's great to see it go out there, go to someone who's gaming. So whoever gets this, like, enjoy this. You've got an epic rig.
Zito 1.
Let's see, Code 1. All right,
That's
Mark,
all
you want to hit
about
us with another one here?
Alrighty. And the winner is
me.
at Soldier Knows Now. It's at Coldbush_17.
See, I'm the idiot here. I'm trying to take home all these trophies, and you're trying to walk away with one of the rigs.
I'm going for it.
How's your name?
That's the smarter.
John
move.
in it for fun.
It's,
Which one did it?
So this one's going.
He said for fun.
You know what? Pick whichever one you want, man.
Cyber power.
Cyber power.
Cyber power for that person.
All right.
Congrats.
So unfortunately, CyberPower's not here to talk about their rig, but I think that was one that we hadn't actually discussed that much.
Other than the age gap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Age gap.
Yeah.
Well,
Age discrimination.
Yeah.
That's the best
oh,
performer.
that's right. That's the.
Yeah,
They're getting the best performer.
Is that right? Oh,
Isn't it?
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. So I guess all that's left is two more. You know what? I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna let you do the grand finale.
Okay.
Do the fifth one. So I'll jump in and I'll do one more. So I'm gonna go with the. Thinking. You know what? I gotta do the exotic PC because it's got kind of a black and orange color scheme thing going on here, and that's kind of my jam. So Ryan Lamb 21 is taking home the exotic PC rig that's right behind me here. Looks freaking awesome. It's got dual pumps, LED lighting, all the stuff you'd expect, and of course a 7980XE extreme edition processor. Leading us to the final giveaway. I know the suspense is real right now.
Suspense is real. We're giving, it's the iBuyPower, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and actually we'll have Brad come out, but at Hagios, and I've looked underscore, Hagios, underscore.
Is that 2 underscores or 1?
That may be double. Is that a double?
Looks like a double.
Looks like so Hagios, just single underscore.
Hagios, I'm sorry, underscore, you did not win. Underscore, underscore, congratulations.
All right,
And Brad.
one single or double underscore.
Blood, sweat, and tears went into this, so you better enjoy the system. It was really fun building it, you know, this whole experience. So, yeah, whoever you are.
Congrats. Thank you. How many hours of labor went into it?
Sorry, Mike. I would say at least 25 or 30 hours. Yeah, and including unbuilding it and rebuilding it in between shoots and stuff like that.
No. They have 24 hours. If they don't respond,
All right, so
they
that
give the
is
ultra
it.
persona.
Once again, if your name was called, guys, keep an eye out for that notification coming through Twitter, please. The last thing I want is someone like sending me a DM on our forum. This kind of thing happens from time to time, being like, "Hey, Linus, you said that I was going to win this thing, but then like I didn't win it because I didn't get the notification." There's nothing I can do for you, guys. You've got to see that notification. You have 48 hours to claim the prize once you get it, so don't miss out. Once your eligibility is confirmed, the systems will be fulfilled by the National Sweepstakes Company. And one more thing, by the way,